But he said, I don't think he could win. I don't think he could win. He's too progressive coming from this state and what he's done in this state to win in any southern state, any red state. I disagreed, but no, this is a progressive African-American owned station, and I'm sure they like you, but doesn't think you can win. What do you say to that if you could win look at the swing states, there's only 8 of them.
Right. Well, I mean, California is an interesting case study, isn't it? It's the size of 21 state populations combined.
Yeah.
2/3 of state is very deeply red. We don't need to be lectured on rural politics or border issues. I mean, in so many ways, these are familiar issues, and the issues of the heartland of the United States are very much a part and parcel of the work we're doing in this state. But look, I understand this notion that you're from the coast, you don't understand those things. You can't talk the language, you're not able to communicate, and you're not able to actually encourage and find that common ground.
No, it's stuff like there's a new law.
Bill Maher left the studio in shock after a fiery, live TV confrontation with California Governor Gavin Newsom. In a tense and unfiltered exchange, Maher boldly challenged progressive policies, calling out contradictions in real time and refusing to let evasive answers slide. Pressing hard, Maher demanded clear, direct responses, pushing Newsom into the spotlight as the debate quickly intensified. Under relentless questioning, the governor struggled to defend his positions, finding himself cornered by Maher's sharp critiques. The clash exposed deep fractures within the political left, highlighting how difficult it has become to justify certain policies when faced with their real-world consequences. Maher's fearless approach underscored a growing demand for accountability, even from the most powerful and well-protected figures. As the pressure mounted, Newsom faltered, revealing the limits of ideological talking points when confronted with hard facts. What began as a discussion turned into a dramatic showdown that resonated far beyond the studio walls. This explosive debate is more than just a viral moment, it's a wake-up call. It proves that no political stronghold is immune to scrutiny, and that even the most prominent Democratic leaders must answer for their decisions. Watch the full exchange to see why Bill Maher's clash with Gavin Newsom is sending shockwaves across the political landscape.
This notion that you're from the coast, you don't understand those things. You can't talk the language. You're not able to communicate, and you're not able to actually encourage and find that common ground.
No, it's stuff like there's a new law in this. I think we have way too many regulations and laws, as we've talked about. And this one, I think, says if you're a department store with over 500 employees, you have to have a gender-neutral toy department.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, I get it.
So do you think that's silly? Do you think that's a silly thing that we too much government?
It's almost surreal to watch Bill Maher step into the role of a hard-hitting interrogator, pressing Gavin Newsom with the kind of questions that rarely make it past the filters of mainstream media. Normally, politicians like Newsom move through interviews with ease, especially on friendly platforms where real challenges are few and far between. On a show like The View, for example, he'd likely be met with applause instead of accountability. But this time, Maher isn't letting anything slide. Now we're about to see Newsom reach for the ultimate politician's playbook. Love him or hate him, he's a master of dodging, deflecting, and spinning his way out of tough situations. Watch closely, because this is the moment where he'll try to reframe the argument, shift the focus, and avoid answering the uncomfortable questions he's been cornered with. But will it work this time? Or has Maher finally forced him into a debate he can't escape?
And then whenever I read 80% of the water goes to agriculture. Almonds.
Right.
No one ever asked you about almonds? Oh, I'm going to ask you about almonds. We grow a boatload of almonds.
I'm well
here.
aware.
You know how much water it takes?
Many gallons.
1,900 gallons to grow a pound of almonds. Yeah. Come on, man. Take on big almonds.
Take on big almonds.
I mean, it's not like we don't have the water.
No.
But
you're right about it. It's not that we don't have the water. That said, the last couple of years were tough. I mean, but it's also where the water's falling and we're not capturing it. And we're not capturing those extreme years with these atmospheric rivers. Wets are getting a lot wetter, dry's drier, hot's getting a lot hotter. And so we've got to modernize our conveyance system. We've got to modernize our storage, not just above ground, but below ground. And so that's a big part of our focus and frame, including desalinization plants. We have 20 projects just on desal that we're working on today. So we put out a detailed water strategy that includes, by the way, getting that Delta Conveyance project back up and operational, and includes the first above ground off stream storage facility in half a century in the state, which, by the way, is being aided by a regulatory package I pushed forward to reduce red tape in the state of California and address the permitting quagmires that you rightfully pointed out.
See, you're good at this.
What?
See, I'm telling you're good at this job. Okay, but here's the thing. Okay, but here's, I feel like the last couple of years you've like purposely picked this fight with the red states. I mean, the DeSantis. Yeah, but I don't want to live in the Civil War country.
I agree with that.
You know what?
Well,
but you seem like you purposely want to set up this dichotomy between, oh, this is a blue state and that's a red state. Yeah. And I don't want to live in that country. I like Florida.
I'm with you. And by the way, I like Florida as well. I like all these states. I completely agree. I don't want to have a state of mind that's a constant fight or flight. We've gone through so much. We've been polarized and traumatized. This has been a tough 5-6 years across the globe, not just in this country.
That was a lot of words that ultimately said very little. Still, credit where it's due. Bill Maher finally pressed Gavin Newsom with a real, substantive question. He pointed to California's ongoing water crisis, a problem that affects millions of people every day. Newsom's immediate response was the familiar default: global warming. Maher even added a half-joking but completely valid point: why not grow almonds somewhere else, like Maine? Why is so much of California's already strained water supply being diverted to almond farming instead of being managed more responsibly? But rather than engaging with the issue, Newsom sidestepped it entirely. He retreated into the same scripted climate change rhetoric politicians rely on when they don't want to discuss real, practical solutions. Why now? The pattern is impossible to ignore. No matter the issue, water shortages, wildfires, or energy policy, the conversation is always steered back to a broad, generic climate narrative. It's the go-to-escape hatch, a way to avoid accountability for the problems that could be addressed right now, and that's the real frustration. While the talking points stay the same, the consequences keep getting worse.
In this, I think we have way too many regulations and laws, as we've talked about, and this one, I think, says if you're a department store with over 500 employees, you have to have a gender-neutral toy department.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, I get it.
So do you think that's silly? Do you think that's a silly thing that we too much government there?
That's an interesting one because the department stores came to us supporting that, and they were the ones making a case for that. They were making a case they're already moving in that direction.
Wanted you to make a law about them?
Well, but they supported the legislation. It wasn't legislation that was enacted, that was initiated from my office, but it was legislation that came up with interesting support from the industry itself. But I understand how that's exploited, and good people can disagree. But that's not something we woke up and said, this is a top priority for the state, when we know what the top priorities are: homelessness, housing, the issues of crime, quality of life, and issues related to regulation and taxes, which are all top of mind. But I get how those things are weaponized.
All right, so one, I got you here, because I live here and I'm not going anywhere. So I just want to make this a better state like everybody else.
Amen.
And good job this year making it rain.
You're welcome. Because
that
was my legislative priority.
It was looking bad there for a while, and we still don't have enough water in the Colorado River and all this stuff.
Take a moment and really notice how awkward and eerily silent the room became when Bill Maher started pressing Gavin Newsom with tough questions. The tension was almost tangible. You could feel the unease wash over the audience as Maher refused to let up. This wasn't the usual late-night atmosphere filled with laughter and applause. Instead, there was a rare moment of stunned quiet as Newsom scrambled for an answer, and when he finally spoke, if you can even call it that, tell me in the comments if you actually understood what he was saying. Because to me, it sounded like pure word salad. He didn't just dodge the question, he completely sidestepped it, offering vague talking points instead of a real response. Sure, avoiding tough questions is part of being a politician. But this wasn't just deflection, it was a total non-answer. What's even more mind-blowing is that after all of that, Maher's audience still gave Newsom a full round of applause for a response that said absolutely nothing. That alone shows how deep ideological bias can run. It's no longer about what's being said, it's about who's saying it. So credit where it's due. Props to Bill Maher for challenging his own audience and putting uncomfortable questions on the table, even when it's unpopular, and thank you for watching and being part of this conversation. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support keeps these discussions alive and helps bring more unfiltered takes straight to you.